Your local view on WYCU LDTV 26, serving Charlestown, New Hampshire, the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, and central Vermont.
Coming up tonight on YCU, a man claiming to have a bomb on his chest was arrested after trying to get drugs from the Lebanon Walgreens. A new website went live campaigning for renovations at Stevens High School. Find out what they could be doing. And we'll hear about some of the big issues going on at the New Hampshire State House this year with Senator David Pierce. With more news, sports, and weather, stay tuned. It's time for YCU, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region and central Vermont. News, sports, weather, public affairs, and all that's happening in our area. The news on YCU, your local view.
Good evening, I'm David Carmichael. Lebanon police arrested a man after he allegedly attempted to rob a Walgreens drugstore. Police say that Stanley Sousa entered the pharmacy claiming to have a bomb strapped to his chest, and he threatened to detonate the bomb if the clerk did not meet his demands for drugs. Sousa left the store empty-handed and drove off. Police also arrested Deborah Pitts and Brian Lewis for their involvement. Claremont will soon have an emergency alert system that can notify residents of potential dangers. The new Code Red program will soon go live in the city. The need for the emergency notification became acute in December when tests at one of the city's water testing facilities showed a presence of E. coli, a potential fatal bacteria. City officials issued a boil water notice into effect for 2 days before it was finally lifted. Code Red, which is contracted with the state, will allow police and fire officials to send recorded messages to every land phone line in the city next time there is an emergency. A new website is part of the public relations campaign in the run-up to the March 12th school district vote that includes a $12.5 million renovation bond for Stevens High School. The site is votestevens.net, and it went live last week with information on the renovation bond, the $7 million Johnson Controls article, and the $32 million budget. There is a description of the renovation plans along with a picture of what the outside will look like. Just a few of the renovations include a new cafeteria, new science labs, ceiling tiles and floors, and fresh new seating in the auditorium. Governor Maggie Hassan has sent a letter to Washington declaring the state's intent to pursue a partnership with the federal government to operate the new insurance markets required under President Barack Obama's healthcare overhaul law. Hassan sent the letter yesterday and says it would not be in the state's best interest to allow the federal government to impose a one-size-fits-all exchange on New Hampshire. She noted that without a partnership, the state would be handing over the regulatory authority the state insurance department traditionally held. New Hampshire is getting nearly $2 million in emergency relief funds to assist with the repair cost of federal lands and highways following Tropical Storm Irene. At the height of the storm in August of 2011, close to 250 roads in New Hampshire were closed due to flooding or damage. Then Governor John Lynch had issued an emergency declaration at the time. The funds come from the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration. New Hampshire's Representative Carol Shea Porter announced the funds yesterday. New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen is part of a group of legislators supporting a measure to reform a federal sugar program to save consumers money. Shaheen says that the federal sugar program has cost consumers and businesses an estimated $14 billion in the last 4 years. About 112,000 jobs have been lost in the sugar-using industries between 1997 and 2009. She says that the Sugar Reform Act will reform domestic supply restrictions, lower prices, support levels, and ensure adequate sugar supplies at reasonable prices. Vermont lawmakers are getting into a sticky situation of deciding if the state should adopt the international grading system for maple syrup. The idea is to make Vermont's maple syrup labeling conform to the one used worldwide. Supporters say it opens Vermont's sweet stuff to new markets, but opponents say it will confuse the customers. The State Agricultural Agency and the Vermont Maple Sugar Makers Association both backed the changes. Now they're seeking support from Vermont legislation with a resolution endorsing the changes. For these stories and more, be sure to like our Facebook page and check out our website at ycunow.com. After the break, Diane Richter tells us about her fantastic veterinary services.
The YCU News continues in a moment.